with Governor Cuomo and several county officials. And one of the most important issues facing us at that time was transportation funding for rural communities. So I asked the governor, what is your philosophy and what is your strategy for allocating rural highway funding? And the governor took my question and he outlined a 4-point comprehensive plan on the policies that he was implementing and the issues he was evaluating to ensure that transportation funding was fair and equitable throughout our great state. And when he was done, he said, if you have any questions, talk to my transportation secretary. She's over there on the side of the room. So after the meeting, I went over to the transportation secretary and said I wanted to follow up. And she smiled at me and said, that's the first time I've heard that policy. He had articulated it on the spot. And it took the transportation secretary and others several months to actually implement that policy, but it was a very thoughtful, articulated policy that was a testament to his intellect and his ability to take multiple issues and put it together in a succinct policy. On a personal level, I was invited to a meeting with other county executives, and it said, no staff, just county execs. So of course, I brought my 9-year-old daughter. And we met in a private conference room that's adjoining the governor's office. And the governor came around and introduced himself or said hello to everybody. And when he got to me, I introduced him to my daughter and he said to Jessica, have you ever seen the governor's office? Being a 9-year-old, she said no. And he said, let me show you. And so, at the beginning of the meeting, he takes her hand and he walks right out of the meeting. And as he's leaving, he turned to face the rest of us and said, maybe the rest of you haven't seen the governor's office either. You're welcome to join us. So we all filed out and we went through his private office into the red room. And there's a huge desk, as you know, Governor Roosevelt, I believe, his desk, and there's a leather chair behind it, and there's a placard on the chair that said, don't sit. He took that off. He said, Jessica, why don't you sit here? And so my little daughter is behind this huge desk, and her hands are about at this level. And the governor had a picture taken, and I'm standing behind my daughter. On my right is Mario Cuomo, the governor. On my left was Mayor Dinkins. And in a semicircle all behind her were all the county executives from all around the state. It was a phenomenal photo in black and white. And for those who are curious, back then my hair was more black than white. But that showed, as others have mentioned, his personal side. One last quick observation. Like many of you, I love Matilda. What a phenomenal lady, and what an important part of the team. And she came to my county where we had a presentation of a grant to a not-for-profit agency, and we had a giant check. Many of you have seen those, right? Those giant checks. Being a smart aleck I was, because I was quite a bit younger, of course, I noted that the check was not signed. I said, great, we got this great check from the state and it's not signed. And Matilda, without even a moment's hesitation, picked up a black magic marker, signed Mario Cuomo on the check. I had the sense it wasn't the first time. As we reflect on Governor Mario Cuomo, I hope that we, my friends and colleagues, embrace his efforts to develop thoughtful, comprehensive public policy while always keeping that human, compassionate, personal side as part of our lives. I consider it a great privilege to have met Governor Mario Cuomo, and I know many of you feel exactly the way. I hope his legacy on those levels continues. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Rivera.